Today we are starting over as a noob in Brainrot Evolution with the worst to best pets in the whole game. And I'm not just talking about a few pets. I'm talking about every single Brainrot pet in the game. From the Undindindun to the unreleased Tung Tung Sahur pet to even every Omega pet. Every time that we level up, so will our pet. And so make sure to watch till the very end to see what is the best of the best. All right, kicking things off, we have the worst Brainrot pet of all time, the Undindindun, which you can get for absolutely free by joining the group and liking the game, but it only does 5 damage. Luckily, we're gonna move on right now. Getting a little bit of an upgrade is the Chimpanzini, which I don't believe you can get anymore because it used to be in the daily rewards where if you played for 7 days in a row, you would get this pet for free, but it got replaced with the daily streak rewards. So I think you can only trade for this pet nowadays. But let me remind you guys, all the pets we are covering in today's video are ones that do not come from eggs, because if we talked about every one that came from an egg, we would be here literally all day, because there's over 300 different pets in this game. But the next best Brainrot pet is one that comes from the starter pack, the Tralalero Tralala. And I could not tell you the last time I used this one. It is 1,000 damage, and honestly, not too bad for the price you have to pay for it. But trust me, things are going to get very crazy very quick because we're already at 1,000 damage for this pet. This one, I bet you guys do not have. The 1,500 damage Berber Patapim. This is literally one of the most OG Brainrot pets in the entire game. In order to get it, you had to buy a pack that was only in the game for I think like a month or so, and you had to play when the game like first came out. That's why it kind of looks a little weird. His nose is bigger than his entire body. Crazy, but not as crazy as the Tung Tung Sahur pet. But actually, it's not the Tung Tung Sahur pet because it got changed with the Tete Sahur. When Tung Tung Sahur got removed from the game, so did the pet. But in order to get the Tung Tung Sahur pet, you had to get it from a pack from back in the day as well. But as you can see, it is 1,500 damage, making it actually still pretty usable to this day. And if you thought it couldn't get any more OG, I bet you don't have the Boneca pet. Look, it's the Boneca Ambalabu, but so tiny. And best part, it does 2,000 damage. So we are really at a turning point where things get wild. Because if you don't pay attention to this game, the damage that pets typically give you when you're low level is like less than 500. And obviously the Boneca pet, you had to spend a bunch of Robux way back in like season 1, and then you could get it for yourself. But luckily we just leveled up again. So let's get the next best Brainrot pet. And I'm of course talking about the 3,000 damage Cappuccino Assassino. Ooh, that is crazy. I still remember buying the Cappuccino Assassino when it was in these packs right here. It used to be the cheapest one, and it does 3,000 damage. But if we look at what the cheap one does now, that does 6,000 damage. So it literally has doubled in damage over the course of this game being released. In what, like 7 months? Something like that. Crazy, crazy. And following that up, we also have another cheap Brainrot pack, which is the 3,500 Nuclear Ruchi. I believe it was like 2 seasons before when they added the Bombardino Sewer, and it was also a cheap 400 Robux pet. But we are now all the way up to 3,500 with the damage level. And again, it's going to get 100 times crazier. And you guys saw the Tete Sahur, but how about the Void Tete Sahur? This one is 4,000 damage and is the only one we'll talk about today that does void damage as well. So you had to get this from the Void event way back in the past. And again, this one was also a void tung tung sahur, which got turned into the te. In order to get this, you had to spend a bunch of void tokens or just spend a lot of Robux and hope to get it. But we need to level up again so I can show you guys the next best one, because we are at 4,000 damage now. And this one is very, very recent. This is the Obonono. And since we have not so much room, we're gonna make our army a little smaller. So there we go. The Obonono, which is when they added the Strawberry Land. The Obonono, I believe, was right before we got the Bri, and it was a cheap pack. We need to level up. There we go. We are at the sahur, and bang! That gets us to Mountain Balabu. And next up on our list, we have the Bri, which is the current cheapest pack. For 400 Robux, you get this 6,000 level super duper cute pet. Because if you haven't seen it, look at the details on it. The eyes, the outfit, the cape, the gold helmet, it's all super duper cool. And for our next pet, we actually have an honorable mention. I think this should count because it's technically a Brainrot. We have the Giftanini. This is 4,500 damage, so a little bit out of order. But as you guys know, the Giftanini was a OP Brainrot boss during the Christmas event. So in order to get the Giftanini, you had to get through the season pass. And I don't consider Miss Noel a Brainrot, so we're not gonna cover that, but we're gonna jump a little bit ahead and talk about the Elf Tralalito, because that's a Brainrot for sure, and the Matei Ho Ho, which is also a Brainrot. As you can see, they kind of look like little wooden Christmas figures, but they are so OP. 7,500 for the Elf Tralalito and 10,000 for the Matei Ho Ho. Just like that, we are at the next rebirth, and we are moving on to the next Brainrot pet. Okay, here's one where I'm not too sure. It's called the Reindeerini, and it's 7,500. But obviously, in Brainrot Evolution, actually, now that I think about it, there is the Reindeerini. So this definitely counts, because the Reindeerini was active during the Christmas event. You just had to claim 25 days of Christmas. We have now made it to the 7,500 mark, and this next one's one of my favorites. This is the Leule pet, 7,500, and this used to be where the Job Sahur pack is. So you could get the cowboy hat and the Leule all in one bundle. And back when it first came out, it was considered to be one of the best in the game. And they added it right around when the Nuclear Core was in the game for the first time. So this next one is actually a super OG rare pet that I doubt any of you have. I'm, of course, talking about the Saturno Santorita. As you can see, it's pretty tiny compared to some of the new ones, but the damage is not tiny at all. 8,000 damage for one pet. I believe the Saturno used to be in the super deal slot, but it could have been in the best deal slot. But you had to spend a lot of Robux to get it. And for our next strongest Brainrot pet, we have the Gorgonzilla. The Gorgonzilla does 8,500 and can only be found in the Cheese Event Pass. And you have to pay for the premium tiers, by the way. We are now into Chocolateromania, baby! And in Chocolateromania, we have one that I've almost like never used. This is the Leaf Sahur. Oh my gosh, wait, this one's actually really ugly. This was here during the Thanksgiving event, I believe. And I think it was in a pass? I think it was in the pass or event. One of the two. Either way, it does 9,500 damage per attack. Very, very good. This is perfect because we're in Chocolateromania. We got the Chicletera pet, which does 10,000. This again was an OP pack that came with the bicycle relic and costs, I believe, around 1,200 Robux for the two. But this is really where the pets start to get crazy, because just 10,000 damage is pretty much good enough to get you through all the way past Undin and Olympus. But we're here to see every single one. And next is actually the Cheese Elephant, which I consider this to be a Brainrot for sure. It's like the Strawberry Elephant pet, which we'll talk about soon, but cheese. It does 12,500 damage. Did I forget to mention that? crazy good. But we actually have a bunch of Brainrot pets coming right up that are very similar in damage. First, we have the Ta-Ta-Ta Sahur, which does 12,500. We have the Karkarkor pet, also does 12,500. And so, all three of these OP Brainrot pets are the same exact stats. However, the Ta-Ta-Ta Sahur pet is from way back when I first started this game. And I believe it was in this slot right here. I think it was like 5,000 Robux. It was something crazy expensive. But it doesn't end there. We have so many more to show off. At 15,000 damage, we have the Pot Hotspot. Oh my gosh. Again, you can only get this one from the shop. And for 15,000 damage, you were paying thousands of Robux. Thousands. Now, going along with that, we also have another 15,000 damage pet. The Cha-Cha-Chi. And oh my gosh, our collection of all these exclusive pets is starting to look so cool. Every single one of them is a Brainrot. All right, so we are at level 52, and just one more and we can rebirth. There's the Bree. Perfect. And jumping up a tier, we got the Strawberry Elephant, which again was where the Job pack is now, because it used to come with the Angry Strawberry. But look at the difference between the Cheesy Elephant and the Strawberry Elephant. It's giant. Crazy. And we still have so many more Brainrot pets to talk about. So let's not hold back and go to the next. Here we have the Shiny Blueberry. Does 17,500 damage. And so with our army we currently have, we can probably go all the way to an insane world. I want to get to the Tralalero Ocean for this next one because it goes with the theme. I present to you the Chef Crabracadabra, which again was an OP pack. I know I've said that a bajillion times now, but it's true. And the Kadabra does 18,000 damage. So we're almost to 20,000. And for the next one, you guys probably guessed it, we have the Job Sahur, which you can get actually in the game right now for 1,200 Robux. It does 20,000 damage, and it is so strong. Like, look at this. Wow. And I know I've said this like 10 times before, but this is where it really gets wild. Here is the Cavito Bendito. 20,000 damage as well, but is discontinued. It was right here, but as you can see, we got these 4 Omega pets that have taken over. And showing off the first of those 3, this is the Glorbo. 1,200 Robux for 25,000 damage, which if you ask me, compared to the deals back in the day, it's crazy damage for the price. Like, if you had this pet back in the day, you would be the strongest on any server you go on. Because before they added, like, 15 different worlds, the pets only went up to, like, 1,000, 2,000 damage. But we're going back in time again with the Ballerina Cappuccina, which, as you can see, again, super duper small compared to the new ones. But don't underestimate it, because it has 35,000 damage. 35,000. Can you even believe that? For an OG pet, that is crazy good. But again, it costs thousands of Robux. And speaking of thousands of Robux, we have the OG Mateo pet, which does 55,000. And again, it used to be this super deal here, which, as you can see, the Truly Marrow is 115,000. So the damage has doubled since this was in the game. So we just got to the Chimpanzini Watermelini Kingini, and we're gonna take a look at another super pet. We have the Crococlat, which the Crococlat does 65,000 damage, and once again, was a super pet. And we're now to the final, like, top 20 pets in the whole game. So you really should be locked in on how to get these. So the Crococlat you can trade for nowadays, but it used to cost, I believe, 5,000 Robux for just one of them. And this one was recently just changed. The PP Kiwi also used to be in the shop and does 75,000 damage. And I think it looks super cool. It's super blocky. And for the longest time, they didn't put PP Kiwi into the game. And as you guys know, it's now a boss weather. So the PP Kiwi boss and Brainrot pet are both super duper rare. But we are about to level up. There's the Gargagor. All right, this next pet does 90,000. And you probably guessed it. It's the Kiki Coca. For the longest time, I thought 100,000 would be like the highest they ever go, but you're soon going to see how crazy these pets have gotten. But in order to do that, we must go and see the best pet when this game first came out. The 100,000 Trippy Tropa, which used to cost 15,000 Robux. Wow. And again, just look at the collection. It's crazy how far this game has evolved. No pun intended. But now we're going to be taking a look at the 115,000 Truly Marrow, which you can spend 5,500 to get. And so let's compare these three. Oh, I still think the Trippy Trophy is the coolest 100,000 level, but you can let me know if you disagree. We have one final 100,000 level pet, and it used to be called the Ram. I, of course, am talking about the Ketupat Kapat, but for whatever reason, I can't get it for this episode. But trust me, the Ketupat Kapat, as you can see on screen here, does 180,000, and it used to be right here in the shop where the Triton is. But now going into the 200,000 range, we have the first ever flying Brainrot pet, the 200,000 Meduse. Wow. Which, when you compare it to all the other pets, you can see why it is the most powerful. It's also the most giant of all the pets. But speaking of large pets, this is the Chunky Malame Amalale. 225,000? What? 225,000. Crazy that is not the best in the game. We still have at least 10 more pets to talk about that are better than that. Can you believe that? Oh my gosh.
Boom, boom, boom.
But we are back to Glorbo Heights, and you guys can probably guess what the next OP pet is. We have the Meowl. It does 275,000. Wow. And this was right before the Triton Sahur in the shop. And again, cost 15,000 Robux. And I think it's finally time for the moment you've been waiting for. The Triton Sahur pet. 350,000 damage. Crazy. And since we want to use all the most OP pets, I think we should be using the most OP Brainrot. There we go. The OP is ours. So, we have now talked about all of the non-Omega pets. Now, this is where it actually gets crazy, because every pet past this point has a boost. And the first one is this little guy, the Crabbler. The Crabbler is 115% stronger than your best pet, and it started everything back in the day in the exclusive pack. It used to be right here. So it's 115 and has a base damage of 5. After that, though, we got the Meow Warrior. It has 9,000 base damage and 115 as well. And now for the Halloween exclusive pack pet, we have the Batkin. 12,500 base and 115 boost as well. Man, when you see all of these together, this is literally hundreds of dollars of pets on one account. It's crazy. This one was just in the game, the Xmas Tree. The Xmas Tree is 120% stronger, 15,000 base, and it has some pretty cool lights on it. It's also super duper cute. And we are almost to the Goat Galaxy using the worst to best pets. This is an awesome challenge. And now for the Evil Duck. This is the one that's currently in the game. 20,000 damage, 120. And there he is with the horns and evil look to him, making him so far the best Omega pet to this day, but not for long. We have the Flame pet, which is 125% stronger. And in order to get him, you have to complete the daily streak rewards, and he is only on day 5. So honestly, you could easily get there. But we are officially at our top 10 pets in the entire game. We just got to the Elefantino, the Cacacito Satellito, and this is one you probably all know. This is the Index. 125 with 5,000 damage. You can only get this one from the Nuclearo Core in the shop for 2,000 of the tokens. So we just reached level 81, so we can rebirth, and we might glitch this out. But coming up next is one that was exclusive during the daily Christmas event. The I2 Perfect pet, 135% stronger and 6,000 base damage. And that is officially the top 5, technically the 5th best, most powerful pet in the game. And coming in at number 4 on the list, it is the Polar Bear. 135% and 15,000 damage, which really makes you think why the Evil Duck isn't better. Because their Polar Bear came out before the Evil Duck. The only difference is 1% is way better, the other base damage is way better. But honestly, I'd rather have the Polar Bear over the Evil Duck. And this now leads us to the top 3 best pets in the game. And first on that list is the Mega Flame. The Mega Flame is on day 15, and you get 175% damage boost and 5,000 base damage. So, if you thought that is how far we go, you would be super wrong. Because I present to you the Turbo Flame. At day 35, you can get this 225% stronger pet that also does 7,500 base damage, which is crazy. So, before we show off the best pet in the entire game, we are going to get back to the Goat Galaxy, which all it's going to take is a couple bosses, and we will be right there. Boom! And for the grand reveal, the best pet in all of Brainrot Evolution, the 275% stronger Ultra Flame. Oh my gosh. We have officially done it. Gone from noob to pro with every Brainrot pet. Wow, look at this. From the worst to the best, every single Omega pet, every single OP pet in the game. Now, I'm sure you guys are wondering, well, couldn't you have merged your pets and fused them to make 2 stars and 1 stars? Well, the answer is yes. So if you wanted to make these even stronger, you could take 3 Triton Sahors and make it a 1 star, and then take 3 1 stars and make it a Triton Sahor 2 star, which that alone costs hundreds of dollars. So we were just talking about all the base versions of the pets. But there you guys have it. We went from level 1 to level 81 with every single pet in the game. If you guys enjoyed this video and you guys want to see more, make sure you guys subscribe because we are on the road to 1 million subscribers. And as always, on screen right now is another video you should watch right after this one. We'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye!